In a faraway land, there lived a miller who was not content with his simple life. Though his work was honest and his daughter kind and beautiful, the miller often boasted of greatness he did not possess. One day, while delivering grain to the royal castle, the miller found himself in the company of the king. The monarch, draped in fine silks and gold, was a man of immense greed, always seeking to increase his already vast wealth. Eager to impress, the miller puffed out his chest and said, "Your Majesty, my daughter has a gift unlike any other. She can spin straw into gold." The king raised an eyebrow. "Straw into gold, you say? That is quite a claim. If what you say is true, she could prove most useful to my kingdom. Bring her to me." Realizing his boast had gone too far but too proud to admit the truth, the miller returned home and told his daughter what he had done. The girl, whose heart was pure, was horrified. "Father, how could you tell such a lie? I cannot spin straw into gold." The miller avoided her gaze. "You'll think of something, my dear. Surely you will." The next day the king's guards arrived to take the miller's daughter to the castle. She was led to a cold, dimly lit chamber where heaps of straw reached the ceiling. A spinning wheel and an empty spool sat in the center of the room. The king appeared, his sharp eyes glinting in the torchlight. "You have until dawn," he said, "to spin all this straw into gold. If you succeed, I will reward you beyond measure. If you fail, you shall die." The door slammed shut, leaving the girl alone with her despair. She sat by the spinning wheel, her hands trembling as she clutched the coarse straw. Tears spilled down her cheeks as the reality of her plight sank in. No one could save her. But then, as the moonlight streamed through a crack in the wall, the air in the room seemed to shift. The shadows in the corner twisted and deepened until, with a sudden gust of wind, a small figure appeared. He was no taller than a child, with gnarled features, sharp eyes, and a crooked grin that revealed teeth like yellowed pearls. "Good evening, my lady," he said, his voice like dry leaves rustling. "Why do you cry so?" The girl looked up, startled. "I must spin this straw into gold, but I cannot. The king will kill me." The little man chuckled, a sound both merry and menacing. "I can spin straw into gold, but nothing in this world is free. What will you give me in return?" She clutched at the necklace around her neck, a simple trinket her mother had given her long ago. "I will give you my necklace." He examined it with his bright, beady eyes and nodded. "Agreed." The little man sat at the spinning wheel, his hands moving with uncanny speed. The wheel hummed, and thread as fine and golden as sunlight spilled onto the spool. The girl watched in awe as straw vanished and gold gleamed in its place. By dawn, the room was filled with gold and the little man was gone. When the king returned and saw the room glittering with treasure, his greed deepened. "If you can do this again, I shall have riches beyond my dreams," he said, leading her to an even larger room filled with straw. The girl's heart sank, but she could not refuse. Once again she was left alone, and once again the little man appeared when the night grew dark. "What will you give me this time?" he asked. She removed her ring, the only other possession she had. "Take this." The little man took the ring with a sly grin and set to work. By dawn, every last straw had been spun into gold. When the king saw this, he was overcome with greed. For a third time he brought her to a chamber, this one larger than the others combined. "If you succeed tonight," he said, "you shall become my queen." The girl did not want to marry such a cruel and greedy man, but she saw no way out. That night, when the little man appeared, she had nothing left to give. "What will you offer me now?" he asked. Tears streaked her face as she whispered, "I have nothing left." The little man's grin widened and his voice dropped to a whisper. "Then promise me your firstborn child when you are queen." Horrified, she hesitated, but with her life on the line, she agreed. The little man worked through the night, and by morning the room shone brighter than the sun. The king, true to his word, made her his queen. Though she wore a crown of gold and lived in a palace, she was not happy. She could not forget her promise to the strange little man. A year passed, and the queen gave birth to a beautiful child. She had almost forgotten about her promise when one night, The little man appeared in her chamber. "Give me what you promised," he said. The queen wept and begged him to take anything else, but he refused. "A deal is a deal." Seeing her despair, he softened slightly. "Very well. I will give you 3 days. If in that time you can guess my name, you may keep your child." The queen spent the first day guessing every name she had ever heard. "Is it Jacob? Wilhelm? Henry?" But the little man only laughed. "No, that is not my name." The second day she sent messengers across the kingdom to gather every strange and unusual name they could find. When the little man returned, she tried them all. "Is it Zebedee? Balthazar? Mortimer?" But he only laughed harder. "No, that is not my name." On the third day, one of her messengers returned with strange news. Deep in the forest, he had come upon a tiny cottage. Outside, a little man danced around a fire, singing, "Today I bake, tomorrow I brew. Then the queen's child I'll take for my due. For no one knows, no one can claim, that Rumpelstiltskin is my name." When the little man appeared that evening, the queen feigned ignorance. "Is your name Conrad?" "No." "Is it Hieronymus?" "Wrong again," he cackled. The queen smiled. "Then perhaps your name is Rumpelstiltskin?" The little man's face twisted with fury. "The devil told you that." "The devil told you," he shrieked. In his rage, he stamped his foot so hard that it sank deep into the floor. In his struggle to free himself, he tore himself in two, and with a final ear-piercing scream, he vanished forever. The queen at last was free. She held her child close, vowing never again to make a promise born of desperation. And though she remained queen, her heart turned toward compassion and wisdom, for she had learned the true cost of greed and deceit. And so she and her child lived happily ever after.